this and that and what the fuck else, episode 163. And in this episode I'm going to talk about some pieces of news that we should be aware of. And the title of today's video is Sunday is Funday. And we had a lot of things happening in the past few days that can actually be considered fun. But before we start, I want to show you, as has become the custom, some images from Russia. Sit back and relax. That is an amazing animal, and for me it's a privilege to see images like this. I've also got a video clip that I want to share with you of Putin in an interview with a journalist. Take a good look at the translations that will appear on your screen. It is important to take note of what he is saying.
Умеете прощать?
Да. Но не все.
А что невозможно простить?
Предательство.
And there you have it, out of his mouth. The thing that he cannot forgive is betrayal. And we have to keep that in mind, because that is what the West has been doing to Russia. Now, the West has got one major problem, and that is that Putin is in charge for almost 20 years. He has seen 5, 6 presidents and prime ministers come and go of the countries that Russia has to deal with. So he's got a collective memory that spans a lot of political generations. And that is one of the big things where the West is continuously fucking up. They do not take into consideration that he has seen their stories before. He has been down certain roads before. That is something they should take note of. And in this video he made it very clear what his personal feeling is about betrayal. But that was just something I thought I should share with you. And let's go. Now, people has frowned when I said that the EU is actually the EU-SSR and that the EC is the Politburo of that EU-SSR. And I will do a skidmark on it sometime and give more details and more explanations of exactly why I say that the EU is actually now a communist bloc. But look at this and think about it. The EU set to approve the use of spyware to uncover confidential journalist sources in the name of national security. If you are a journalist working in the EU, the government is about to make it legal to install spyware on your devices. And these people preach to the globe about freedom and democracy. There it is. Is that democratic? Is that freedom? You're an EU citizen? Ask yourself that question. For me, sitting here at the southern tip of Africa, that's communist. And then we get to the memes. I've got 2 memes for you today, and this one is actually, as far as I'm concerned, a ripper. Studies show that if your parents didn't have children, there's a high probability that you won't either. Let that sink in. Think about it. I'm not going to explain it. And then we get this one, and this one is just to terrorize some people. And it's Putin. Oops, did I just destroy your bioweapon labs in Ukraine? Well, my bad. And I like that. But now we get to this NATO story. And the NATO conduct fringes on hilarious, crazy, panic, and outright stupid. Listen to this idiocy. Latvia will give Ukraine all its helicopters. There are 5 of them. The statement was made by Prime Minister Krišjānis Kariņš. We have a fleet of helicopters. All of these helicopters, the last one, are being repainted to be usable and look good. We are sending to Ukraine, he said. Well, I mentioned it in a Skidmarks of mine last night. What if, and I'm saying what if, Zelensky is actually a Putin agent? Think about it. What is Zelensky doing? Very skillfully, he has managed to basically bankrupt the West. The billions and billions and billions of dollars that has been poured into Ukraine is absolutely lunacy, because it is money that has been taken from citizens, from countries that are actually in need of that money. So he bankrupts the West and he demilitarizes the West. The West is scraping the bottom of the barrel for every piece of equipment that they send to him now. Think about that. And then we get this from Obama. Unfortunately, a little bit late. But maybe he has also decided that the world needs to know the truth. Former US President Barack Obama admitted that in 2014, the residents of Crimea really wanted to become part of Russia. He also noted that many residents of Ukraine at that time sympathized with Russia. Therefore, Obama and other Western leaders have put a lot of effort into cultivating a Ukrainian identity and preparing the country militarily for resistance. Guys, the evil of the West is going to come back and devour them. It's already taking big bites out of them. And then we get to this. Hundreds of German troops and military vehicles arrive in Lithuania for drills. Around 1,000 soldiers and 320 German army vehicles arrived in Lithuania for the Griffin Storm 41 exercises. I'm not going to read it further. Just look at that madness. These Baltic countries, they are the countries that are giving all their weapons and whatever they have, and their money, to the Ukraine. And they are banking on it, that NATO will protect them when the shit hits the fan. But the shit is on their way, for sure, because they have been extremely vocal and belligerent towards Russia. And Russia hasn't done anything back. They are the main destroyers and destructions of Russian monuments, Russian language, Russian books, Russian culture. They are Russophobics of the worst kind. They will do well to think about the future, because the war in the Ukraine will not last forever. And they must ask themselves, once that war is over, with Europe bankrupt, what are they going to do for their survival? Their military is nothing. Wagner will overpower each one of them individually, and most probably collectively as well. And the Americans is also running out of money. The Americans is running out of weapons, and the American population is fast losing their taste for war. So these guys, they think that if something goes wrong, America is going to stream in and fly in and jump in and pour in and sail in to help them. They better think again. And then we get to this. Now this is something to take into consideration about the 2014 Maidan, where in Odessa, all those people that were burned alive in that trade union center. And the Russians have said many times, they will never forget that, and they know who did it, and they want justice for the people that were killed. But there is a Telegram group that specializes in tracing those people that were involved in that Odessa massacre. And they keep track of what's happening to them. And I'm sure they're feeding the military the information that they get. One of the organizers of the arson of the House of Trade Unions in Odessa on May 2nd, 2014, Roman Chernomash, was destroyed near Artemovsk, that's Bakhmut. He was a sniper in the Nationalist Battalion Freedom of the 4th Operational Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine. So, another one down. I don't think the Western people really realize how committed the Russians are to getting justice for what was done to the people in Odessa. And then we get this, and this is again in the Western media, the Western governments, all these all those people that are proclaiming to be the good guys, they all ignore this. But it's in their faces, but they ignore this. Hitler would be proud of Zelensky and his soldiers. With such a caption, American journalist Jackson Hinkle tweeted a photo of the Ukrainian military wearing Nazi symbols. The addiction of the Kiev regime to the swastika cannot be hidden from social networks, even if a bunch of Ukraine rats spam in the comments that this is a fake. Look at that, think for yourself. And then we get to this. This is very disturbing. American actor James Caviezel, who played roles in the films The Passion of the Christ and G.I. Jane, said that the US authorities lied for 2 years that there were no Nazis in the Azov battalion. I started looking for information on this topic, about this Azov battalion, about these Nazis, and then it turns out we were told for 2 years that there were no Nazis in it. But it turns out there are. I got solid information of this, and now I'm thinking, wait a minute, maybe Putin was defending himself. What are NATO, the UN, and central banks? Well, there you have it. And then we have this from Russia. No matter how the events of yesterday will be assessed tomorrow, one thing is clear. Today's Russia is a state, a country and a nation that can withstand military insurrection, resolve it relatively bloodlessly, continue to successfully prosecute a major war, and maintain coherence and purpose and cohesion, all in a single day. Another state may not have had to countenance a military mutiny in the middle of a war. Russia has had to do this numerous times in our history, but then few other nations have had to prosecute a conflict against an axis of the world's most predatory regimes. Russia has had to do this more than once, twice, or even 3 times in her existence, in the face of internal discord, once again, not the first time. The singular situation and the formidable response and resolution thereto speaks not to the strength of the Russian state in the end, but to the spirit of the people. The Russian people. At each such juncture in the past, Russians have prevailed. They have done so now, and they will do so again. And the Russian state will draw strength from this wellspring to marshal the ultimate victory. Think about that. And then here, you all know now about that fiasco in Russia on Friday night and Saturday. And here we have it. While Pavlo Mazarenko was hoping for a civil war, the Scarlet Sails celebration for the high school graduation wasn't cancelled in St. Petersburg. It ended with traditional fireworks, not the kind the West was expecting. The West was expecting a hell of a lot, but they were fooled. They were actually pranked. And then we get this from the sanctions. Once again, Sunday is Funday. Janet Yellen, head of the US Treasury Department, said that sanctions motivate countries to look for alternative ways to the dollar to pay among themselves. Anti-Russian sanctions are working. Yeah. And then we get this from the US. Now, this is the US that has got billions of dollars to pump into wars and all types of shit around the globe. They've got a $32 trillion overdraft, but they maintain 800 military bases across the globe, and meanwhile back in their own country. Oil cargo train ends up in the Yellowstone River after Montana Bridge collapses. According to some media reports, molten sulfur and asphalt have now contaminated the waterway. Authorities are asking residents to stay away from the accident site, not to use water in the area, and not to fish. Look at that. That country is falling apart. The people is living in tents under highway bridges and in stormwater drains and on sidewalks. But they can piss billions into the Ukraine. Those politicians should be charged with treason. And then we get to the Wagner thing. And you really have to actually smile about what happened yesterday. I did 2 Skidmarks on the Wagner thing, and you can go and take a look at them. And I suggest you look at them in sequence, because it was first a build-up and then the let-down. And I saw this from Russell, Texas, Bentley. Now this I was actually quite critical of the Moscow regime when need be. From friend and comrade Alina Lip in Rostov today. What various Wagner fighters told me, an observation from today. Today I spent many hours talking to a lot of different Wagner contractors. The guys in the photo were especially charming. They even made a heart in my direction. What can I say about today? About the guys and what they told me. 1. How did Wagner fighters behave in Rostov? Everyone is friendly, open and even interested. They calmly answered the repeated questions of passers-by and even told a lot of themselves. In comparison, regularly army soldiers are usually very dismissive and silent. 2. How did the population of Rostov react to the Wagner specialist? The population largely supported the guys, brought them food and drink, said hello, thanked them, and young people asked them how they could join Wagner. 3. What are the political views of the fighters? The Wagner fighters emphasize that they are Russian patriots and support Putin, but they are more than critical of Shoigu and the Ministry of Defense. In their opinion, Shoigu is to blame for many mistakes that were and are being made at the front. 4. They confirmed that the Ministry of Defense had indeed given the order to take the Wagner positions under fire. Change played its part. Shortly thereafter, Prigozhin made the decision to go to Rostov to prevent the worst. Think about that one. And then I got some more from that. And this is something that you should chew on. If PMC Wagner goes to Belarus, then it turns out that now Belarus has the best army in the world. The question mark at the end makes it legal to ask, and everybody knows the answer. And then there was this summary made also on the Russell, Texas, Bentley channel, but he forwarded it from Ted Sales. And Ted Sales said, my view, 1. Battle-hardened fighters on the Polish border now. 2. No helicopters shot down. 3. no US sanctions on Wagner. 4. Flushed out enemy sleepers in Wagner, in Russia and online. 5. Chechens in place for action. 6. Better defenses around Moscow. 7. Prigozhin Wagner are heroes of Russia who deserve credit for Artemovsk. That's Bakhmut. 8. Okay, so Prigozhin couldn't work with Shoigu anymore. And he's a drama queen. Cut him a break. I think that is important. And then we get to this one, and this is from Ray J Politics, and I like this guy, and he comes out with excellent tweets. But on this one, I think he jumped the gun. And you see Wagner PMC leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. This man has lost his rabbit-ass mind and embarrassed the Russian Federation with his outright stupidity. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can stop it if you want to read it, but I think he might be sorry today that he actually made this post. And then we get to this image, and for those that are faint-hearted, just close your eyes and don't look. I'm going to show the image now, and look at that. That is all the Western puppets going home after a deal was struck between Prigozhin, Putin and Lukashenko. And they have been, well, you can see what has been done to them because of their belief that Wagner could take down the Russian government. And then we have this, somebody saw the light at Sky, but only partially. Look at this. Ukraine-Russia war latest. Something smells off with Wagner Group mutiny deal. Prigozhin could lead the attack on Kiev from Belarus. Congratulations, Einstein, you saw the light. But they have to try and recover from this shock. Yevgeny Prigozhin stripped of control of the Wagner Group and is set to move to Belarus in return for mutiny charges being dropped. Questions raised over what new powers he wield across the border. Analysts say rebellion has degraded morale on the front line and weakened the Putin regime. Not from the reports that I see, from my sources. The Ukrainians tried some stunts on Friday night and yesterday, and they got burned. But it is Sunday, it's Funday. I'm going to end now with a little slideshow for the guys. And yes, it is chicks. And yes, if you don't like it, you can switch from the channel now. But for the guys, here they go. I hope you guys enjoy that and appreciate it. And please, give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. And in the description of the video, if you're a South African, there is a link on which you can support the channel financially if you want to. You can do a once-off donation or a monthly thing. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye. And remember, you must braai